Wait! Before we start, do you want a bundle of 30 printable Dutch PDF cheat sheets? Teaching you words and phrases for conversations for free? Then click the link in the description and sign up for a free lifetime account to get access.
Hi everyone, I'm Thomas. Hallo iedereen, ik ben Thomas. Welcome to another whiteboard lesson. In this lesson you'll learn some of the most common verbs in the Dutch language and ways to use them. Let's get started. Okay, let's look at the vocabulary. The first verb is luisteren. Listen. Luisteren. 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 Let's move on to the second one. Kijken. Watch. Kijken. 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 Our next one is eten. Eat. Eten. 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 Drinken. Drink. Drinken. 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 Our next one is spelen. Play. Spelen. 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 Let's move on to schrijven. Tricky to pronounce. It means write. Schrijven. 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 Slapen. Sleep. Slapen. 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 Gaan. Go. Gaan. 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 Studeren. Study. Studeren. 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 And the last one is lezen. Read. Lezen. 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 Let's look at the dialogue. This is part of a conversation between two people on the phone. When I read, I want you to pay attention to the verb we just studied. Find the verb and see how it's used in the dialogue. Wat ben je aan het doen? Ik luister naar muziek. Did you find the verb? It's luisteren. Or, when in the first person form, like here, luister. As you can notice here and in the later examples, often the dictionary form of Dutch verbs ends in N, E-N. You can see that on all of these verbs. This part is then dropped to create the stem of the verb for conjugation. Usually though, plural forms such as we, you, and they are identical to the dictionary form. Now let's look at some speaking examples. Ik kijk televisie. I am watching TV. Do you notice the verb? It is kijken, or here in the first person form, kijk. Another example. Ik eet een boterham. I am eating a sandwich. And the verb here is eten, to eat, or in the first person form, ate. An interesting thing about this sentence is the Dutch word for sandwich, boterham. It consists of a combination of the words butter and ham. Boterham. Butter, ham. Boterham. Now let's look at the sentence pattern. This pattern will be the structure that all of our dialogues will follow. Ik, verb, object. I, verb, object. Each time we are using the first person singular. In Dutch, ik, I, followed by the corresponding verb form. In Dutch, the general description for listening to music is muziek luisteren. However, when conjugated and used in a sentence, the particle naar or to is added. Ik luister naar muziek. I am listening to music. Let's also look at the first line, the question. Wat ben je aan het doen? What are you doing? Doen means to do. As you know, English often uses the present continuous tense to indicate something that is currently happening, like the are doing in this question. In Dutch, you can often just use the present perfect tense for this, which you can see in this lesson's example sentences. Ik kijk televisie means I am watching television. The present perfect suffices to describe something that is currently happening, that you are currently doing. However, if you want to emphasize that something is actually currently happening, we use the particle aan het, plus the dictionary form of the verb, which here is doen, to do. As a sentence form, this is quite unique to the Dutch language. You probably noticed me using it quite a lot in the Dutch core words lesson. Wat ben je aan het doen? What are you doing? Please do your best to use the following wording. Do you remember how to say music? Muziek. Muziek. And how to say listening? Luisteren. Luisteren. Do you remember how to say I am listening to music? Ik luister naar muziek. Ik luister naar muziek. And how to say watching? Kijken. Kijken. Do you remember how to say eating? Eten. Eten. And how to say drinking? Drinken. Drinken. Do you remember how to say playing? Spelen. Spelen. And how to say writing? Schrijven. Schrijven. Do you remember how to say sleeping? Slapen. Slapen. And how to say going? Gaan. Gaan. Do you remember how to say studying? Studeren. Studeren. And how to say reading? Lezen. Lezen. In this lesson, you learned some of the most common verbs and their uses in Dutch. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas, and I'll see you on DutchPod101.com. Tot ziens! Hi everyone, I'm Thomas. Hallo daar, ik ben Thomas. Welcome to another Dutch whiteboard lesson. In this lesson, you'll learn to make basic comparisons in Dutch. Let's get started. Okay, let's look at the vocabulary. First, we have the Dutch word for small, which is klein. 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 And then if you want to make comparisons and turn it into smaller, it becomes kleiner. 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 Got that? Okay. Let's go to its opposite. Big. In Dutch, groot. Tricky to pronounce, but if you can pronounce this, you'll probably be able to pronounce anything in Dutch. Groot. Groot. And to make comparisons, bigger in Dutch becomes groter. 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 Very good. Let's move on to new in Dutch, which sounds quite similar. Nieuw. 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 And if you want to make comparisons, nieuwer. 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 Good. Now let's look at its opposite, old, which in Dutch is oud. 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 And for comparisons, ouder. 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 Okay. Now, cold in Dutch sounds quite similar to the previous one. Koud. 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 And then I think you see this coming. If you want to make comparisons, it becomes kouder. 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 Now finally, let's look at its opposite. Warm in English becomes, well, very similar. Warm. 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 And then finally, for comparisons, warmer. 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 Let's look at the dialogue. While I read, I want you to pay attention to the adjectives. Find the adjective and see how it's used in the dialogue to indicate comparison. Is Den Haag klein? Is Den Haag klein? In English, is The Hague small? Then we move to the answer. Den Haag is kleiner dan Amsterdam. Den Haag is kleiner dan Amsterdam. The Hague is smaller than Amsterdam. As you can see, the essential rule is that you add er to the basic adjective to create a comparison. This is the same as in English. In Dutch, klein becomes kleiner, just as in English, small becomes smaller. English does have many adjectives that require adding the word more to create a comparison. This also happens in Dutch, but much less often. For most adjectives, adding er at the end does the trick. Now let's look at some more examples. Amsterdam is groter dan Den Haag. Amsterdam is groter dan Den Haag. Amsterdam is bigger than The Hague. Next one. Spanje is warmer dan Nederland. Spanje is warmer dan Nederland. Spain is warmer than the Netherlands. The names of Dutch cities usually remain the same in English, but with a slight change of pronunciation. For example, in English, Amsterdam hardly changes from the Dutch Amsterdam. The original Dutch pronunciation of Utrecht is Utrecht. Sounds a little bit different, but the spelling doesn't change. The Hague is a rare exception. Its name literally means the hedge and refers to the aristocratic hunting grounds where the city originated, more than 10 centuries ago. Since we are on the topic of Dutch cities, here's a fun fact. Amsterdam is the official capital, but unlike in most countries, the capital city is not the seat of government. The Dutch government is located in The Hague, as is the main palace of the Dutch royal family. Do you remember how to say Amsterdam? Amsterdam. Amsterdam. And how to say The Hague? Den Haag. Den Haag. Do you remember how to say small? Klein. Klein. And how to say smaller? Kleiner. Kleiner. Do you remember how to say is smaller than? Is kleiner dan. Is kleiner dan. And how to say The Hague is smaller than Amsterdam. Den Haag is kleiner dan Amsterdam. Den Haag is kleiner dan Amsterdam. Do you remember how to say big? Groot. Groot. And how to say bigger? Groter. Groter. Do you remember how to say new? Nieuw. Nieuw. And how to say newer? Nieuwer. Nieuwer. Do you remember how to say old? Oud. Oud. And how to say older? Ouder. Ouder. Do you remember how to say cold? Koud. Koud. And how to say colder? Kouder. Kouder. Do you remember how to say warm? Warm. Warm. And how to say warmer? Warmer. Warmer. In this lesson, you learned how to make basic comparisons in Dutch. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas and I'll see you on DutchPod101.com. Tot ziens! Hi everyone, I'm Thomas. Hallo daar, ik ben Thomas. Welcome to the Dutch Whiteboard lessons. In this lesson you'll learn how to ask and give directions in Dutch. Let's get started. Let's look at the dialogue. A student is asking for directions to get to the library. While listening to the dialogue, I want you to focus on how directions are asked and how they are given. Ready? Here we go. Waar is de bibliotheek? De bibliotheek is naast de school. Where is the library? The library is next to the school. Let's do it one more time, a little bit slower. Waar is de bibliotheek? Waar is de bibliotheek? De bibliotheek is naast de school. De bibliotheek is naast de school. Now let's look at some more examples. Het park is achter de bibliotheek. Het park is achter de bibliotheek. The park is behind the library. Het theater is hier. Het theater is hier. The theater is here. Did you notice? We always use the same pattern. Place is location. The structure of the pattern is identical to the English. Place is location. Let's look at the vocabulary. You'll notice that many words closely resemble their English counterparts. First we have one that's slightly different. The library. De bibliotheek. De bibliotheek. De bibliotheek. Next, the park in Dutch is het park. Het park. Het park. The bank in Dutch, de bank. De bank. De bank. The coffee shop in Dutch is het café. Het café. Het café. The theater in Dutch is het theater. Het theater. Het theater. The school in Dutch is de school. De school. De school. There in Dutch is daar. 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 Its opposite here in Dutch, very similar sounding. Hier. 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 Behind in Dutch is achter. 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 And then opposite or in front of, same word in Dutch, tegenover. 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 Then next to in Dutch becomes naast. 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 Now let's look at left and right. Left or on the left in Dutch is links. 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 And right or on the right is rechts. 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 Knowing how to say left and right is of course very useful when giving directions. De bibliotheek is links. The library is on the left. By the way, if you are looking for a place to have a coffee in the Netherlands, it's better to not use the English word coffee shop. In Dutch, the English term coffee shop is used for a very different type of establishment. From our vocabulary, you can tell that Dutch has two gendered articles, de and het. De is both masculine and feminine, like the German der and die, or the French le and la combined. Het is neutral, like the German das. On the one hand, this makes Dutch simpler than many European languages because the gender of the words has no influence on the grammar, like it does in German, French, or Italian. However, there is no rule that explains which article to use, de or het. If you understand some German or French, you can often rely on the gender of the Dutch word being the same as in those two languages. However, there are exceptions. The German Das Boot, title of the famous film, is de Boot in Dutch. Learning the correct article is purely a matter of experience. Do you remember how to say the school? De school. De school. And how to say the library? De bibliotheek. De bibliotheek. Do you remember how to say next to the school? Naast de school. Naast de school. And how to say the library is next to the school? De bibliotheek is naast de school. De bibliotheek is naast de school. Do you remember how to say here? Hier. Hier. And how to say there? Daar. Daar. Do you remember how to say behind? Achter. Achter. And how to say in front of? Tegenover. Tegenover. Do you remember how to say on the left? Links. Links. And how to say on the right? Rechts. Rechts. Do you remember how to say the park? Het park. Het park. And how to say the bank? De bank. De bank. Do you remember how to say the coffee shop? Het café. Het café. And how to say the theater? Het theater. Het theater. In this lesson, you learned how to ask and give simple directions in Dutch. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas and I'll see you on DutchPod101.com. Tot ziens! Hi everyone, I'm Thomas. Hallo daar, ik ben Thomas. Welcome to another Dutch whiteboard lesson. In this lesson you'll learn common adverbs to describe the frequency of daily activities. Let's start by looking at the vocabulary. First we have altijd or always. Altijd. Altijd. Always. After that we have elke dag. Every day. Elke dag. Elke dag. We follow that with a synonym or an alternative. Dagelijks. Daily. Dagelijks. Dagelijks. Moving on, we go to vaak or often. Vaak. Vaak. Next up is meestal. Usually. Meestal. Meestal. Then we go to soms. Sometimes. Soms. Soms. Follow this up with zelden. Rarely. Zelden. Zelden. And finally, nooit or never. Nooit. Nooit. As you can see, we have gone from the highest frequency, always, or in Dutch, altijd, to the lowest frequency, never, or in Dutch, nooit. Next, let's look at the dialogue. Two neighbors are having a casual chat. While I read, pay attention to the adverb and how and where it's used. Kook jij meestal? Do you usually cook? Ik kook altijd. I always cook. Now let's look at some other speaking examples. Ik werk elke dag. I work every day. Ik werk elke dag. Ik sport vaak. I often play sports. Ik sport vaak. Ik ontbijt meestal. I usually eat breakfast. Ik ontbijt meestal. Ik ga zelden naar de film. I rarely go to the movies. Ik ga zelden naar de film. Ik lees nooit. I never read. Ik lees nooit. You may have noticed that the verb usually comes before the adverb. Ik, verb, frequency. Kook jij meestal? Ik kook altijd. This is the opposite of the way it's done in English. Dutch often resembles English, but sometimes it's also very different, so be careful. Many of these Dutch adverbs have synonyms or alternatives. Just as in English, daily is a synonym for every day, in Dutch, dagelijks means the same thing as elke dag. However, though dagelijks is very common in written language and certainly a useful word to know, it's not a word people commonly use in conversation. Do you remember how to say always? Altijd. Altijd. And how to say I cook? Ik kook. Ik kook. Do you remember how to say I always cook? Ik kook altijd. Ik kook altijd. And how to say every day? Elke dag. Elke dag. Do you remember how to say often? Vaak. Vaak. And how to say usually? Meestal. Meestal. Do you remember how to say sometimes? Soms. Soms. And how to say rarely? Zelden. Zelden. Do you remember how to say never? Nooit. Nooit. Well done! In this lesson you've learned some of the most common adverbs of frequency in Dutch. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas and I'll see you again at DutchPod101.com. Tot ziens! Hi everyone, I'm Thomas. Hallo daar, ik ben Thomas. Welcome to another Dutch whiteboard lesson. In this lesson you'll learn standard greetings like hello and goodbye in Dutch. Let's get started. Let's look at the vocabulary. First, we'll cover greetings used when you meet someone. Hallo. The standard greeting. Same as hello, just a slightly different pronunciation. Hallo. Hallo. Hoi. This basically means hi, and it's only used in informal occasions, like when you meet a friend. Hoi. Hoi. Goedemorgen. This literally means good morning and is used in the same ways as in English. Goedemorgen. Goedemorgen. Goedemiddag, good afternoon. May not be used quite as much in English, but it's used fairly frequently in Dutch. Goedemiddag. Goedemiddag. And then finally moving on, goedenavond. This literally means good evening and is used in the same ways as in English. Goedenavond. Goedenavond. Now let's look at expressions used when parting. Dag. This is the standard Dutch for goodbye. Actually, it can also be used to say hello. Dag. Dag. Doei. Bye. The informal version of goodbye. You will hear this used a lot when you're in the Netherlands. Doei. Doei. Welterusten. This is how you say good night, and it's used only before going to bed or going to sleep. Welterusten. Welterusten. Tot ziens. See you soon. Literally it means see you again, but it's a common way of saying goodbye in any kind of situation. Tot ziens. Tot ziens. Tot morgen. This is the standard way of saying see you tomorrow. It can be used in both formal and informal situations. Note that morgen here means tomorrow, whereas in goedemorgen it means morning. Tot morgen. Tot morgen. Let's look at the dialogue. It's a simple exchange of greetings. But can you tell what kind of situation this would be used in? Tot morgen. Doei. See you tomorrow. Bye. The use of the informal doei here indicates that these two people know each other quite well. This could be said between friends or classmates, for example. Now let's look at some more examples. Let's say a shopkeeper welcomes their first customer at 9 a.m. What expression would they use? The shopkeeper would say, Goedemorgen. Good morning. Goedemorgen. Let's try another one. You run into a friend. How would you greet each other? The greeting would be casual, so it would likely be a simple hoi. Hoi. The Dutch are generally quite informal in social situations. Except in cases where there is a clear hierarchy, it's not uncommon to use informal expressions like hoi and doei, even with people you've only just met. Do you remember how to say hello? Hallo. Hallo. And how to say hi? Hoi. Hoi. Do you remember how to say good morning? Goedemorgen. Goedemorgen. And how to say good afternoon? Goedemiddag. Goedemiddag. Do you remember how to say good evening? Goedenavond. Goedenavond. And how to say good night? Wel te rusten. Wel te rusten. Do you remember the standard way to say goodbye? Dag. Dag. And the informal way to say bye? Doei. Doei. Do you remember how to say see you soon? Tot ziens. Tot ziens. And how to say see you tomorrow? Tot morgen. Tot morgen. In this lesson, we've learned how to use greetings and parting expressions in Dutch. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas, and I'll see you again on DutchPod101.com. Tot ziens. 1, 2, 3. What do these words mean? Stick around. In this quick lesson, you'll learn Dutch number vocabulary and how to count to 10. But first, a fun question for you. Can you guess how many countries have Dutch as their official language? Hint, it's fewer than 10. Keep watching for the answer at the end. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0,0, 0,0 is something you say in Dutch when something is completely devoid of interest. Susan comments on the weather before heading out with Lena. Het is 0 graden en het sneeuwt. Dan trek ik mijn warmste jas aan. 1. 1. 1. 1. When you spell out één in Dutch, you need to put accents on both e's to distinguish it from the article een, because both are written E-E-N. Steve and Oscar prepare to pay at a supermarket. Oscar, heb je €1? Nee, die heb ik niet. 2. 2. 2. 2. While this is commonly understood in many countries to mean two, you should certainly not turn your hand around. Susan and Lena talk about their favorite number. 2 is mijn favoriete nummer. Oké, het mijne is 7. 3. 3. 3. 3. When you gesture 3, do you use this or this? Jack asks Steve if he can borrow a pen. Heb je een pen? Ja, ik heb er 3. Neem deze maar. 4. 4. 4. 4. In Dutch, a four-leaf clover is klavertje 4. Klavertje 4. Susan asks Lena for help while shopping for groceries. Ik ben van plan een taart te maken. Haal alsjeblieft 4 appels voor me. Natuurlijk, ik kies de beste uit. 5. 5. 5. 5. Normally in Dutch you would say for 5 people, 5 mensen. Or for 5 things, 5 dingen. But for both of those you can also use a less common expression. Een vijftal. Vijftal. Oscar comments on some starfish while at the beach with Tom. Kijk eens naar de zeesterren. Ze hebben 5 poten. Het zijn fascinerende wezens. 6. 6. 6. 6. Like in many countries, Dutch children start elementary school when they're 6 years old. 6 jaar oud. 6 jaar oud. Steve asks Jack for the time. Hoe laat is het? Het is 6 uur. 7. 7. 7. 7. Maandag, dinsdag, woensdag, donderdag, vrijdag, zaterdag en zondag zijn de 7 dagen van de week. Those are in Dutch the 7 days of the week. Steve asks Oscar about the number of weeks in a year. Er zijn 7 dagen in een week, maar hoeveel weken zijn er in een jaar? Er zijn ongeveer 52 weken. 8. 8. 8. 8. In slightly old-fashioned Dutch, 8 can also mean attention. Jack and Steve talk about lucky numbers over dinner. In sommige culturen is 8 een geluksgetal. Interessant. Ik vraag me af waarom. 9. 9. 9. 9. A cat has 9 lives is a common saying in Dutch too. Een kat heeft 9 levens. Susan en Lena reminisce about their friend's wedding. Wanneer is ze getrouwd? Ze is 9 jaar geleden getrouwd. 10. 10. 10. 10. When you get a perfect score on a school test in the Netherlands, you get een 10. Oscar informs Tom on his flight's arrival time. Onze vlucht is op tijd. Het vliegtuig landt om 10 uur. Perfect, ik kom jullie ophalen. Let's review. You'll see the words in English and your job is to say the words in Dutch. Ready? Do you remember how to say 0? 0. 0. And how to say 1? 1. 1. How about 2? 2. 2. Do you remember how to say 3? 3. 3. And how to say 4? 4. 4. Let's try 5. 5. 5. What about 6? 6. 6. Now let's see if you remember how to say 7. 7. 7. And the next, what about 8? 8. 8. Do you remember how to say 9? 9. 9. And how to say 10? 10. 10. Do you know the number of countries where Dutch is the official language? 6. 6. Dutch is spoken officially in 6 countries: the Netherlands, Belgium, Suriname, Aruba, Curaçao, and Saint Martin. Thanks for watching! Don't forget to practice these new words and phrases and see you next time. Tot ziens! Berlijn, Wenen, Londen. What do these words mean? Stick around. In this quick lesson you'll learn Dutch words for cities. Before we start, did you know there's a city in the Netherlands that has more bikes than people? Keep watching for the answer at the end. Amsterdam. 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 The Venice of the North. Jack asks Susan about a recent trip. Hoe was Amsterdam? Het was prachtig. Er waren veel grachten in Amsterdam. Berlijn. Berlin. Berlijn. Berlijn. The city formerly divided by the Berlin Wall. Oscar tells Tom about a recent trip to Germany. Ik heb een beroemde stad in Duitsland bezocht. Was het Berlijn? Brussel. Brussels. Brussel. Brussel. Jean-Claude Van Damme, The Muscles from Brussels. Jack and Steve chat about different cities. Waar ligt Brussel? Brussel ligt in België. Londen. London. Londen. London. Swinging London or the Big Smoke? Steve and Jack chat about famous landmarks. Wat is een beroemd monument in Londen? Ken je de Big Ben? Parijs. Paris. Parijs. Parijs. The City of Lights and the City of Lovers. Susan and Tom chat about their favorite cities. Wat vind je van Parijs? Parijs is erg mooi. Bern. 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 One of the lesser-known capital cities of Europe. Jack and Steve chat about capital cities. Wat is de hoofdstad van Zwitserland? Bern is de hoofdstad van Zwitserland. Praag. Prague. Praag. Praag. The city of Franz Kafka and Alphonse Mucha. Oscar shares his travel experiences with Tom. Ik heb vorige week Praag bezocht. Dat is de hoofdstad van Tsjechië. Dat is leuk. Hoe was het? Rome. 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 All roads lead to Rome. Susan and Tom chat about travel destinations. Ik wil een eeuwenoude stad bezoeken. In dat geval, wat dacht je van Rome? Wenen. Vienna. Wenen. Wenen. In Dutch, the word wenen can also mean to cry. Susan and Tom chat about travel destinations. Wat is een Europese stad met mooie gebouwen? Wenen heeft mooie gebouwen. Warschau. Warsaw. Warschau. Warschau. An important city in 20th century history for the signing of the Warsaw Pact. Colette en Maaike plan a trip to Poland. In welke stad zullen we beginnen in Polen? Laten we eerst Warschau bezoeken. Warschau is de hoofdstad van Polen. Let's review. You'll see the words in English and your job is to say the words in Dutch. Ready? Do you remember how to say Amsterdam? Amsterdam. Amsterdam. And how to say Berlin? Berlijn. Berlijn. How about Brussels? Brussel. Brussel. Do you remember how to say London? London. London. And how to say Paris? Parijs. Parijs. Let's try Bern. 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 What about Prague? Praag. Praag. Now let's see if you remember how to say Rome. 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 Another one, what about Vienna? Wenen. Wenen. And finally, do you remember how to say Warsaw? Warschau. Warschau. Did you know there's a city in the Netherlands that has more bikes than people? In Amsterdam, there are more bikes than people. Almost everyone rides a bike, and you can see bike lanes everywhere. People use bikes to go to school, work, and just for fun, because it's easy and good for the environment. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to practice these new words and phrases and see you next time. Duitsland, België, Oostenrijk. What do these words mean? Stick around. In this quick lesson, you'll learn Dutch country vocabulary. Before we start, Did you know the Netherlands was ruled by another country until 1581? Can you guess which one it was? Keep watching for the answer at the end. Nederland. The Netherlands. Nederland. Nederland. The country that is almost entirely below sea level. Emily and Tom chat about travel destinations. Tom, ben je in Nederland geweest? Ja, Nederland is beroemd om zijn windmolens. Ik wil er nog een keer naartoe. Duitsland. Germany. Duitsland. Duitsland. One of the strongest soccer nations in the world. Lina plans a trip to Europe with Tom. Welk land moet ik in Europa bezoeken? Ik raad aan om Duitsland te bezoeken. België. Belgium. België. België. Belgium has 3 official languages: Dutch, French and German. Lina and Tom chat about famous foods from different countries. Waar staat België bekend om? België staat bekend om zijn chocolade. Het Verenigd Koninkrijk. The United Kingdom. Het Verenigd Koninkrijk. Het Verenigd Koninkrijk. England, the United Kingdom and Great Britain all have a slightly different meaning. Oscar and Tom discuss travel destinations. Welke landen zijn er in het Verenigd Koninkrijk? Engeland, Schotland, Wales en Noord-Ierland vormen samen het Verenigd Koninkrijk. Frankrijk. France. Frankrijk. Frankrijk. France extends from Belgium in the north to Spain in the south. And if you travel by train, you'll see many different landscapes. Anne and Maaike chat about different countries. Waar staat Frankrijk bekend om? Frankrijk staat bekend om de wijn. Zwitserland. Switzerland. Zwitserland. Zwitserland. From the English word Switzerland to the Dutch word Zwitserland, simply switch the S and the Z. Susan asks Tom about a recent trip. Heb je iets speciaals gekocht in Zwitserland? Ik heb een horloge gekocht in Zwitserland. Tsjechië. Czech Republic. Tsjechië. Tsjechië. Not so long ago, the Czech Republic and Slovakia were one country. Czechoslovakia. Emily and Jack plan a trip. Ben je in Praag geweest? Het is de hoofdstad van Tsjechië. Nog niet. Laten we erheen gaan. Italië. Italy. Italië. Italië. The shape of Italy on the map has often been compared to a boot. Susan and Oscar chat about travel destinations. Welk land staat bekend om zijn heerlijke eten? Italië is beroemd om zijn eten. Oostenrijk. Austria. Oostenrijk. Oostenrijk. The home of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Austrian oak. Tom and Lina chat about travel destinations. Ik wil Oostenrijk bezoeken. Oostenrijk heeft prachtige bergen. Polen. Poland. Polen. Polen. In Dutch, the word Polen also refers to the people of that country. Steve quizzes Jack on capital cities. Wat is de hoofdstad van Polen? Ik denk dat het Warschau is. Let's review. You'll see the words in English and your job is to say the words in Dutch. Ready? Do you remember how to say the Netherlands? Nederland. Nederland. And how to say Germany? Duitsland. Duitsland. How about Belgium? België. België. Do you remember how to say the United Kingdom? Het Verenigd Koninkrijk. Het Verenigd Koninkrijk. And how to say France? Frankrijk. Frankrijk. Let's try Switzerland. Zwitserland. Zwitserland. What about Czech Republic? Tsjechië. Tsjechië. Now let's see if you remember how to say Italy. Italië. Italië. Another one. What about Austria? Oostenrijk. Oostenrijk. And finally, do you remember how to say Poland? Polen. Polen. Did you know the Netherlands was ruled by another country until 1581? Can you guess which one it was? The Netherlands were dominated by Spain until 1581, when they regained their independence, although the conflicts continued for many years after. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to practice these new words and phrases, and see you next time. Verkoper, ingenieur, programmeur. What do these words mean? Stick around. In this quick lesson, you'll learn Dutch vocabulary for occupations. Before we start, did you know that Amsterdam employs full-time bike fishermen? Can you guess what the job is for? Keep watching for the answer at the end. Werknemer, employee. Werknemer, werknemer. Dutch word werknemer consists of the word werk and the word nemer. Work and the person who receives it. Maaike and Steve discuss their work environment. De werknemers houden van hun werk. Dat is goed om te horen. Verkoper, salesperson. Verkoper, verkoper. A verkoper is a person who sells. A koper is a person who buys. Tom talks to Bo about a recent visit to a car dealership. De verkoper liet me veel auto's zien. Zaten er auto's bij die je mooi vond? Ingenieur, engineer. Ingenieur, ingenieur. Ingenieur is one of many words in Dutch that come from the French language. Lina discusses a friend's career with Susan. Mijn vriendin is heel slim. Ze is een goede ingenieur. Bouwkunde is moeilijk. Ze heeft vast talent. Programmeur. Programmer. Programmeur. Programmeur. Steve tells Anne about a recent issue at work. We hadden een probleem met onze website, maar de programmeur heeft het opgelost. Ik ben blij dat het nu in orde is. Boer. Farmer. Boer. Boer. Did you know that the very small country, the Netherlands, is the world's third biggest exporter of agricultural products after America and China? Tom tells Richard about a visit to a farm. Gisteren was ik op een boerderij. De boer had veel koeien. Het klinkt als een grote boerderij. Secretaresse. Secretary. Secretaresse. Secretaresse. Secretaresse is actually the female version of the word. The male version in Dutch is secretaris. Colette tells Joris about her workplace. Onze secretaresse is altijd druk. Het is belangrijk om een goede secretaresse te hebben. Bankier. Banker. Bankier. Bankier. The currency in the Netherlands before the introduction of the euro was the guilder. Bo discusses financial matters with Maaike. Ik heb een bankier over een lening gevraagd. Wat zei de bankier? Let's review. You'll see the words in English and your job is to say the words in Dutch. Ready? Do you remember how to say employee? Werknemer. Werknemer. And how to say salesperson? Verkoper. Verkoper. How about engineer? Ingenieur. Ingenieur. Do you remember how to say programmer? Programmeur. Programmeur. And how to say farmer? Boer. Boer. Let's try secretary. Secretaresse. Secretaresse. What about banker? Bankier. Bankier. Did you know that Amsterdam employs full-time bike fishermen? Can you guess what this job is for? These workers retrieve thousands of bicycles from the city's canals each year. Bikes often end up in the water due to accidents, vandalism, or strong winds. Keeping the canals clean and safe is a unique challenge in Amsterdam's cycling culture. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to practice these new words and phrases, and see you next time. Tot ziens!
Want to easily remember new vocab and phrases? Fact: everyone, beginners and advanced learners alike, forgets new words the first time they learn them. So what's the secret to remembering? What do smart learners do? They note them down and review them later. And you can do this with our study tool called the Word Bank, your extended brain for language learning. And in this video, you'll discover 1. How to save keywords and phrases, 2. How to review the words so that you never forget them, and 3. How to create your own printable vocabulary worksheets. But first, if you don't yet have access to this tool and our lessons, just click the link down in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account right now. First, what is the Word Bank? The Word Bank is a premium study tool, and it's your personal language database, where you can save new words and phrases with a single click, review them all in one spot, and never forget them. Think of it as your extended brain for language learning. Look for the Word Bank in the vocabulary drop-down menu on the site, or inside the menu in our app. So, how do you take full advantage of this powerful study tool? 2. How to save keywords and phrases. If you're taking a lesson and want to save key vocab, simply go to the vocabulary section. Select the words you'd like to save and click on Add to Word Bank. If you're using the core word list, like the 2,000 most common words, or the vocabulary lists, select the words, go to Add Selected Words, and click on Word Bank. Now, the words and phrases are saved in your word bank, and you can even organize the entries with labels like adjectives, verbs, or phrases. 3. How to review the words. Once you save the words to your word bank, you can easily see all of them, all in one spot. With every word or phrase, you get the audio pronunciation, the translation, and even the related lessons where they're introduced. That way, you can review the words one by one. If you'd like to study words with flashcards, just click on Sync to Flashcard Deck. This will create a flashcard deck of your word bank entries for you to study. 4. How to create your own printable vocabulary worksheets. If you want to have physical worksheets and practice writing the words on paper, then click on Printer-Friendly Version and print out your word bank entries. You can even export your word bank as PDF, CSV, or XML files. Remember, you can use this powerful feature with flashcards, lessons, and vocab lists, so take advantage right now. Save new words and phrases to your word bank with a single click. Review them all in one spot and never forget them with the Word Bank feature. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. Now that you're finished with this lesson, don't forget, as a free bonus, you get over 30 conversation cheat sheets, but only if you sign up via the link in the description. You'll learn how to have flowing conversations and how to answer the most common questions. You can also print out these colorful cheat sheets to keep as physical study material. So don't miss out on this free gift. Click the link in the description and sign up for a free lifetime account to get your PDF cheat sheets.